Well, good morning, Facebook community. Alejandro Tornato here. And today, this is our Transformational Mentoring Sunday edition, coming directly from Beaufort, Georgia. And this is what I called Quote of the Week. It's a great segment. I truly believe because most of us, I mean, if we start our week on a high, if we start our week inspired, highly motivated, I mean, to show up in the world and do our best work, if we display our truest potential, then we'll have a quote to help us move through the week in a smoother way. I mean, we need to keep feeding our minds with positive things, with things that energize us, that give us energy and give us determination and vitality. And I believe that the quote that I would like to share with all of you, it's a quote by Eric Hoffer. And Eric Hoffer states and says, if I remember correctly, I think that I shared this quote on another lesson. Perhaps it was our midweek lesson that I did, and I referred to this quote. But Eric Hoffer says that in times of change, it is the learners who will inherit the world or the earth, and while the learned are beautifully equipped to live in a world that no longer exists. In times of change, the learners will inherit the world, while the learned are beautifully equipped to live in a world that no longer exists. And what a great quote that is, because I talked before about this idea that we need to be continuous learners. I think I consider myself a perpetual learner. I mean, there's always, every single day when I get out of bed, I intentionally think that there's going to be something on that particular day that I don't know that I need to learn. Now, if you have that same kind of thinking that every day, from the moment that you get out of that bed, there's going to be at least one thing that you are going to learn, then believe me, my friend, that day was not wasted. That day was a day that really made an impact in you, and it got you closer to your very best self. Because the only way that we are going to get to that best self and displaying all our true and full potential is if we keep learning along the way, if we keep learning and growing along our journey. So you see, when we look at this quote by Eric Hoffer, I truly believe, and I hope that you believe with me, that we are living, and we have been living for a very long time, in times of consistent change. The world as we know it is not stagnant. I mean, is not static, but is in constant motion, in constant flow, in constant movement, in constant evolution. And in that world that is constantly changing, then if we look at that quote, Eric Hoffer states that there are two major groups of people living in that evolutionary world, in that changing world. And on one side, we have what he calls the learners. And I love to be in that category of the learners. I hope that you, too, want to be in that learners category. And he says the learners are the ones who will inherit the world. And why is that? Is because the learners, if you're a learner, you are not static. You want to keep moving. And as you learn more, you can do more, be more, have more, help more, make more impact, go through more change in your life, grow more, be better. All those attributes, all these that I am mentioning, come as a result of you determine yourself that you are going to be a learner. And then on the other side, then there is the other category or the other group. And these are what Eric Hoffer calls the learned. They're not the learners, but they are the learned. Now, these, you see, these are not people who are completely ignorant of things. No. The learned are people who, up until this moment, they have learned things. And perhaps they reached a point in their lives that they, for whatever reason, I don't know what the reason may be, but for whatever reason, they think, I already learned as much as I'm going to learn. And I don't think that there's anything else that I can learn. Now, I don't know where they're getting that idea, because if you live up until the time that you're 30, then there are 30 years that you are capable of learning new things every single day. If you live up until 40, there's going to be 40 years that you are going to learn things if you want to. And the same if you live until you are 50 or 60 or 70 or 80 or 90 or 100. I shared with you last Wednesday the story of Mary Walker from Chattanooga, Tennessee, that she started learning when she turned 100 years of age, because at 99 she bought herself her freedom from slavery. So it was not until she turned 100 that she began her journey into learning, and she joined the group of the learners. Now, if she did that at age 100, then do you think that if you are, let's say, 25 or 30 or 35 or 40 or 50 or 60 or 70, you don't have even better chances to be a learner and to have many years ahead of you that you can keep on learning and keep making this world a better place because of what you are learning, and therefore, since you are learning things, you may contribute more to this world. And isn't that the point of why we are here? You see, if you are here and you were born and then you die, and then the world is exactly the same, and you haven't done at least something to make a difference, then what was the point? What is the point of us being here, having a healthy mind, being able to think, being able to co-create with infinite intelligence, being a co-creator? That, in my opinion, that is a great responsibility. And we have to act on that responsibility. So we have to leave this world. When we leave it, we have to leave it better than when we found it. As we were born into this world, and the world was in such a state of change, but then when we leave it, we have to leave it better. And that is what Eric Hoffer says, it is the learners who will inherit the world, because the learners moved and flowed with the world. As the world flowed and changed, the learners changed along the way through learning. But the learned are beautifully equipped to live in a world that no longer exists. Why? Because the learners, just when they stopped learning, they stayed in that place, and they started. It's not that they stopped learning and they stayed in the same place. No, they stopped learning and they started going backwards. And as the world keeps moving forward, they went far. And so the gap between the changing world and the learned got bigger and bigger and bigger. And so the learned are beautifully equipped to live in a world that no longer exists for them. Because the world is miles and miles ahead, and they are miles and miles behind. So, to finish this segment today, I'm going to ask you a question. And you really have to go deep into yourself and don't give yourself an answer just because you want to give an answer quickly. Now think about it. I mean, do you consider yourself to be a learner, an active learner. If you are, I hope that you are, and then together we can certainly do many, many things. So, be a learner, continue to learn, look for opportunities to learn and to keep growing through your own personal growth and learning. And never stop that. Because as you continue learning, not only will you be the beneficiary of that, but you will help others and you will help the world be a better place. So thank you very much for being with me. It's always great to share this content with you. And I hope that this quote has motivated you and will inspire you throughout the week. And as I always close by reminding you to live every moment, be resilient, and also be kind, be passionate, be well.